Hey guys, it's Kyle Thompson here with eXp Realty, bringing you the first market update for July. And as always, we're going to be starting off with all properties. Let's jump right into it. All right, so at a glance, we had 419 new listings, 194 new sales. Average list price was $718,585. Average sale price was $700,499. The average sale price to list ratio was 97.3. Average days on market was 47.99, and we ended the month with an inventory of 980. So let's jump over and take a look at the market conditions. And as always, I like to use both the monthly supply of inventory method as well as the sales to new listing ratio, as I find using both gives a more complete picture of what's going on in the market. So when we use the monthly supply of inventory method, we come in at 6.34, which puts us into a buyer's market. If we use the sales to new listing ratio instead, we come in at 46%, which puts us into a neutral market. Now let's jump over and take a look at the active inventory. So last month, we broke a 5-month trend of higher new listings every month, falling from 504 in May down to 419 in June. Sales also broke a 5-month trend, falling from 204 down to 194. Expireds fell from 86 down to 83. And the benchmark price for a home in Kamloops rose from $577,500 up to $580,600, so an increase of $3,100. Now let's jump over and take a look at the end of month inventory. We ended the month with an inventory of 980, which is the highest amount this time of year going back to 2016 and is about 8.58% above the 10-year average of 903. When we look at new listings instead, we see that so far, year to date, there's been 2,193 new listings, which is fairly middle of the road when looking at it from a 10-year perspective. And we are currently 4.65% above the 10-year average of 2,096. If we take a look at sales, it's a bit of a different story. So far, year to date, we've had 979 new sales, which is the lowest outside of 2020 over the last 10 years. And currently, we are 22.46% below the 10-year average of 1,263. Now, let's jump over and take a look at the sales dashboard, starting off with average sale price. This table is measuring full year over full year changes, and when looked at that way, prices are actually up about 5.34%, with all of the major property types being anywhere between flat up to 6% up, with the exception of lots, which are down about 2.5%, and full duplexes are up actually 16%, but there's only 8 sales, so it's not really all that important. Now let's take a look at the sale to list ratio. As always, this is just a measurement of how much properties are selling below the list price. So it's a good proxy for how much negotiating room there is when you are the buyer. And last month we came in at 97.3, which is fairly middle of the road over the last 12 months. And call it for the last 4 months, we've been hovering around that 97% area. So while it did tick up a little bit, it's pretty well unchanged over the last few months. Now let's take a look at sales by property type. Once again, this table is measuring full year over full year, and when looked at that way, sales are actually up about 1.64%. And although most property types are actually down, single-family dwellings have been holding in really well, actually up 8.71%, and since they make up over 50% of the market, it's kind of keeping everything afloat. Finally, let's take a look at days on market to sell, starting off with the 10-year. So far, year to date, it's taken an average of 57 days for properties to sell, which is about 2% below the 10-year average of 56. When looked at the trailing 12 months instead, we see that in June, it took an average of 42 days for properties to sell, which is about 14% below the 12-month average of 49. And finally, by property type, once again, this is measuring full year over full year again, and when looked at that way, single-family dwellings and townhomes are within a few days of the previous year. Apartments and half duplexes are selling quite a bit faster, anywhere from about 24% faster up to 29%. Manufactured homes, lots, and full duplexes are taking anywhere between 18 to call it 25.5% longer to sell. And recreational dwellings are selling much faster, but there's only 4 sales, so that's not really all that important. So overall, inventory is building, sales are down substantially, However, prices have been holding in fairly well, and for the properties that are selling, there isn't really a ton of negotiating room. We're kind of back to, call it, 2016 to 2019 area. And as far as days on market go, it's a bit of a mixed bag. That's all we have for today. I really hope that you guys are continuing to get value out of these market updates. If you are, consider liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel. And as always, if there's anything that you feel like needs to be explained further or things that you might want added to these market updates, please feel free to leave your suggestions in the comments section below, and I will get to them as soon as I am able. Thanks for watching.